The Doors, The Soft Parade, right now on States and Kingdoms. Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. Today we're talking about The Doors and their album, The Soft Parade.
The follow-up to Waiting for the Sun. Hi, how you doing? The follow-up to Waiting for the Sun.
Yeah.
And the not follow-up to Morrison Hotel.
Right, the beforesies.
Sandwiched in between.
Yeah. Now, Waiting for the Sun is your favorite Doors album.
It's the one I listen to most. I wouldn't say favorites. We don't have favorites here.
No, we don't have preferences.
No, we do. We do.
It's a great album. It's a great album. Morrison Hotel is great too. We've only talked about one Doors album here on the channel so far, yeah.
And Strange Days.
You're right. We did two. All right, this is third. Do we want people watching those videos?
Sausage link in the description. I was surprised after many years of listening to this that one, it wasn't an album in high standing.
Yeah.
Yes, and
the critics didn't like it.
Well, it's not just the critics.
People didn't like it.
No, this is sort of somewhat the unloved Doors album.
Yeah.
And I know that it definitely has its fans. I know that there are people that do love this album, and well, I always really enjoyed it too. But that's the thing. So it got me to thinking.
What are its flaws? Why is it not considered a great album? Why is it not a favorite for more people?
Doors are a difficult band, really. I think they're sort of taken for granted that, they are one of the most famous rock bands of all time.
Iconic.
And
visually.
There is a lot of image involved.
Yes, that's what I meant.
They have, their sound is an amalgamation of a number of
I'm just adding
styles. I know I've heard a lot of people that like these Doors songs, but not these. They like this album, but they don't like that album. I feel like that I have heard fewer people that think the Doors are good that love all of their albums, maybe, than some other bands.
I'm following you.
That's fantastic.
No, I know what you mean. Well, because I'm that kind of fan where if I like a band, I can't even say I don't like this one thing. Even if it's not as good, I can't say I don't like it.
I'm not really. I don't have a problem. I not so much not like, but just not think it's quite as good.
Sure.
Yeah.
But not like it's so. Say take the Doors for example.
Sure.
I can't say, oh, that album, I'm never going to listen to that. I think it's crap.
About what?
I don't know. Some people might say that. Do people say that?
Who said that?
Well,
who is saying these things?
The people you're talking to.
I'm not talking to anybody.
You have a group of people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who don't like some Doors albums.
Okay. I just made them up. I don't talk to anybody.
Who are these people?
Who are these men?
Going back to the very first thing you said. I was also surprised to find out that there are a group of people who don't like this album. Because I always really liked it. This is one of the Doors albums that I think I listened to earlier. Like, I listened to the first one. And then somehow I got to the Soft Parade fairly early on. And I always thought it was really great. I mean, maybe I give a little bit too much, attention to... Or I think too much of the last song, the title track. And I kind of put a little more stuff onto the album than is actually there, because that song is just so crazy and big and hefty. It's such a powerful song. But the other, I really like a lot of the songs on this album.
If you take Waiting for the Sun, there are so many different styles on that album. That is what they did. Yeah. And to me, that album does represent everything they did.
Yeah, that's fair.
How complex their music could be in
still within the Doors.
Yeah, within their own style.
Yes.
The Soft Parade is less so. I feel like the Soft Parade is more one sound. And, of course, Jim Morrison was a little less involved. Robby Krieger does write more, and it's the only album with individual credits, so you know that. Things have been said about Jim Morrison and, be singing more like Frank Sinatra, or as Frank Sinatra say, like a saloon singer.
Crooner type.
And that's there. I kind of feel like that was always there. on and off. That's something
That's
in his background.
That's there on the first album.
The certainly the horn arrangements and all of that they bring that forward. You were saying that the other day to me that you feel like this is the album where Jim Morrison really kind of, his voice he settled on the way he wanted to sing, the way you heard it. And I never thought about that. But he does kind of stick to this on the next two albums.
Because there's a balance between the kind of softer, croony thing and the more forceful, growly, bluesy thing.
Yeah. And that is on this album, but it's definitely way more on Morrison Hotel and LA Woman. And of course, this album, why you went to this album early was because of a huge hit that really they still play on the radio quite a bit.
Walkin' Blues.
Touch Me.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah. This does, like I said, it does have a style. And I guess some people just don't like it. It's just not what they want to hear from the Doors, It does have a little bit more what would be considered popular at the time or pop at the time, which would, now, of course, is not at all.
Yeah.
A popular singer then. I mean, this doesn't exactly sound like Andy Williams, but maybe a little bit getting closer to like Tom Jones territory to some people, if that's what they heard. I'm saying.
What's new, Pussycat?
No, you know what I mean. Like if that's what they were hearing, with the horns and songs. They didn't want to hear that. They wanted to hear 5 to 1. Again. I mean, I understand that.
Well, the Doors are gonna do what the Doors want to do.
Well, always. The only I like Tell All the People, Touch Me is a great song.
Yeah. Tell All the People seems like classic Doors.
Well, it's still the Doors. You're not, not exactly. I mean, if you listen to, there are like we were saying, there's.
I don't nitpick.
I really like Shaman's Blues. I really do. I think, that is a classic Jim Morrison song, always something, melodically, there's always something that you're not expecting. There's always something that's just full of energy. And really, we talked about this the last couple of times, I'm sure, about Jim Morrison, but his brilliance as a songwriter does get passed over. Mm-hmm. And, it happens with lead singers anyway, if they're the songwriters. Like, people, I don't know, they don't expect them to be.
Yeah. Well, also, if they don't, they're not always, like, holding an instrument.
Yeah. Well, so sometimes they wind up being treated like personalities rather than musicians, which is, I'm sure they're fine.
Give me the guess.
Although he's not fine. Yeah. But, no, I mean, like we talked about that with Mick Jagger when we were going all the Rolling Stone stuff. Because of the horns, you get, like I said, there's a little bit more of like one kind of style.
Yeah.
The Jim Morrison songs do kind of stand out, like Wild Child. The only flaw in this album, and this is one for me always, is that
Easy Ride.
Yeah, Easy Ride. I don't love Easy Ride.
It's a little.
And
it's a little pass-overable. It's a little too simplistic and.
Who Scared You should be on this album.
Yeah, it's a better song.
It's a really good song, and I'm not sure. I never know, that happens all the time. It's like you had this song. Why didn't you just put that on the album? But
I mean, for years and years, I didn't question it. I kind of just figured, it's like a throwaway sort of bluesy number.
Well, that's kind of what it feels like.
So I was just like, all right, it's like a place to sort of.
R&B number, yeah.
Rest your ears, and then carry on.
We were talking about Runnin' Blue.
I love that song.
Yeah, I do too. I love the melody, and I know some people don't love the breakdown.
The hoedown.
Yeah.
The fiddle part. I always thought it was kind of cool.
I don't think I'm not sure if it's the fiddle. I think it might just be the singing or.
Yeah.
That is kind of like a classic Doors thing, but they'd never really done anything like that. But the opening. Kind of bluesy a cappella thing that he sings, then going into a kind of almost big band arrangement song, then with the
fiddle part. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It works. I always thought it was such really a cool song.
Quintessentially Doors.
Yeah. Who starts a song like that? Jim Morrison does.
I have seen people say that the Soft Parade, you know, as far as their longer songs, you know, by that time, of course, they had done two very famous longer songs to end the album, that the Soft Parade is not as good. It's really different.
Yeah.
It's really quite different. And I find it really interesting.
It's my favorite one.
Very interesting. Again, it does. It just
It
carries
bounces.
with it such a depth of music because, you know, the way it shifts moods and the way that, like, early on his lyrics feel almost like nursery rhymes. And then, you know, and yet, I mean, forgetting the screaming part about not petitioning the Lord of Prayer. But it really moves from piece to piece, I think, quite flawlessly. And it actually, I said, you know, it sounds like something like Brian Wilson could have written. It almost feels like Heroes and Villains or something like that. You know,
totally like a Journey song.
Done by Jim Morrison.
It's got, movements, and like you said, they move from each perfectly. And it just, like, it's these layers, and the song just keeps kind of, like, unfolding into, like, the next part. And you really feel like you're getting, like, taken through this,
song
like...
itself.
Yeah, it's not exactly, like, a narrative song or a story song, but you feel like it feels important. It feels like something's happening. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's set up... it's set up so dramatically, obviously, with the beginning, kind of preamble. And then I love like the jazzy part. Mm-hmm. I think that's such a great movement part of the song. Like, just awesome rhythm, and like I love the melody. I think it's just really cool, and the guitar solo there.
It's a completely different thing from, you know, the end or you know.
Yeah, that part I love it. It's just like a little party in the middle.
And, you know, ultimately, I would say this is a weaker album than the albums that are around it, because I think obviously it could use a little bit more.
Jim?
A little bit more. It definitely stands out. It has its own sound. Like I said, if you don't like that, then, you know, you probably won't really love the album. But it's just another really interesting album. I mean, it's different than anything else they had done. I would put, you know, like Who Scared You in there, and I think that would improve the album. Actually, would bring the album up a bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, I really enjoy it.
Me too.
I think, you know, they're all good songs, to great songs, in my opinion. You know, and I always enjoy just moving in a new direction. A band, you know, that was so common then. It was common at the time. Doing
something different,
but
trying something new.
Yeah, try something else.
Yeah, it doesn't fail. It's not.
No, I think it does get, like, kind of pushed aside.
Yeah,
you know, as far as the Doors albums, people tend to really seem to like the first one or the last one most. When you.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
They're an interesting band. They're one of those bands that, you know, they kind of mean something different to each person. You have a different idea about them.
People can hear different things in them, definitely. And sometimes Jim Morrison's image can really get in the way.
Yeah, unfortunately. And the movie.
Oh, yeah, I know. We talked about
that last time. So thank you so much for watching. Please let us know what you think of the Soft Parade in the comments. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to States and Kingdoms, and we'll see you next time.